A historic rise in violent crime continues to plague certain areas of Brooklyn Park. That includes 3 shots fired cases this weekend and at least 7 violent incidents since early Friday. Police have teamed up with volunteer groups to try to reduce crime. As Sonia Goins reports, it's an increasingly difficult effort to keep the peace.
I watches my back because it's dangerous.
2 different apartment buildings were hit with stray bullets Saturday night in Brooklyn Park. That included gunfire that tore through a wall of a unit at the Fountains in the Park apartments. According to police reports, the shooting happened while a family was watching TV in their living room. Luckily, no one was hurt.
I think security and the police, I think they need to do their job and get up in these buildings, and do some justice.
And then 20 minutes later, gunshots rang out here at Huntington Place Apartments. According to police, a bullet went through a kitchen window. A resident was sitting in the kitchen at the time, but they were not hurt.
That's not right, man. A kid could have been in the kitchen. Anybody.
Residents should not have to go through this. It is unacceptable.
The management team at Huntington Place upgraded security measures recently. They installed a guard shed and speed bumps to prevent people who aren't residents from coming and going. But they say this is only a Band-Aid.
We have installed over 350 new cameras. We have, like I say, more security. We have vehicle control access, but we feel these are just temporary restrictions because there's a bigger problem throughout the city of Brooklyn Park, and I'll say around the country, where there is an increase of gun violence.
And on Sunday in broad daylight, shots rang out at this liquor store at 63rd and Zane. Several bullets pierced the window. It's the second time in the past 2 weeks in which gun violence has occurred at this location.
No, we're not afraid. Violence's job is to keep you in a place of being afraid and to hide. And so in order to create peace, you have to have a certain level of courage.
Aja King is with 21 Days of Peace, a group of volunteers that started patrolling this area on July 7th to try to cut down on crime. They say it's too early to see results, but they hope to make a change for the better.
The goal is to turn this area around where families, women, children, all sorts of people can occupy this space.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
No arrests have been made in any of the recent shootings. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Brooklyn Park Police. A Crystal couple is raising money for a memorial to celebrate the life of Barway Collins. Barway is the Crystal boy who was murdered by his father in 2015. Barway lived in the apartments adjacent to Becker Park, and now there's action to bring a statue of Barway to the park. Aaron and Jeff Kolb have set up a GoFundMe page with the goal of raising $15,000 for the statue, which will be a life-size image of Barway.
The idea here is to celebrate Barway's life. Again, I'd like to think that Barway would really have enjoyed Becker Park. Unfortunately, he never got a chance to do so. But the idea here was to create a joyous space, create, the statue will be, Barway playing as a kid would be playing in the park. And the idea is to create a happy memorial to celebrate a child's life.
Donations can also be made to the City of Crystal, and the organizer hopes to unveil the statue sometime next summer. The next steps toward moving the Bottineau Light Rail project forward started up again this week. Delane Cleveland has more from Robbinsdale.
Imagine being 90% finished with something only to have to go back to square one. That's essentially where we are with this Blue Line extension project. Monday was the first of several meetings where people could learn more about the latest reincarnation of this project.
What is best for us? How are we going to handle, pedestrian safety? How are they going to handle, vehicle safety and all of the things that go along? How is it going to impact our community and make sure that those impacts are the best they can be for Robbinsdale?
Those are some of the questions that were presented to Blue Line staff members Monday morning at the first of several open houses dedicated to the light rail project. Robbinsdale is one of the cities where the original alignment that was approved years ago had to be shifted because project leaders couldn't strike a deal with BNSF Railway to share the rail corridor. Now, the newly proposed alignment has light rail trains running down County Road 81. This open house was an opportunity for community committee members to look at renderings of potential station locations and see how they'd fit with the rest of the city. While fatigue has certainly set in from people who went through this process the first time, project leaders say the new alignment creates some exciting opportunities.
I think one of the weaknesses of the previous corridor is that we weren't able to connect North Memorial Hospital. Now we have an opportunity to do that, kind of really bring folks to the hospital, and not just folks that are obviously using the hospital, folks that work there.
Project leaders say they hope to have a community-supported alignment in place by the end of this year or early next year. The hope is to have the train up and running by 2028. In Robbinsdale, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Car shows are coming back around, and it wasn't hard to find a few local cars at the Street Machine National Show in St. Paul.
Well, this is a Citation X11. In 1980, Chevy came out with the Citation line, which was their first front-wheel drive car.
Brian Warhol says his car is pretty rare. Supposedly, there's only 2 in the state. The Street Machine Show had a good turnout, and Brian says it's an example of how shows are picking back up in the tight-knit car show community.
There's a red Corvette down here. He's from Plymouth also. And I found out leaving Wagner's Drive-In one night, we left at the same time, and we're following each other, and he lives 2 blocks away from me. I didn't know until I followed him home.
And if you didn't get over to St. Paul this weekend, there's another car show and a free concert coming up at Wagner's Drive-In in Brooklyn Park this Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The high school volleyball season gets underway in late August for several local teams. Jason Malillo has the story of one of those teams, just happy to be back in the gym again.
The Champlin Park volleyball team is grateful for the opportunity to be on the court this summer.
When you walked in today, it's nice to be able to see their faces and smiles. Last year that was all hidden and whatever else, and you don't realize how important it is to see those things until you don't see them, and then you get to see them again. So
it's so nice not playing with masks anymore. We get to see each other's faces. It's just better.
COVID is still with us, so the Rebels continue to be mindful about social distancing and proper hygiene. Last season, during the thick of the pandemic, the girls had to navigate distance learning and being isolated from family and friends, and then still show up to play volleyball.
It was hard having breaks because all of us are normally used to not having breaks. So to just sit down and try to not think about volleyball and try to focus on school when school was a struggle for a lot of us, it was really hard.
CP did put together a good 2020 campaign, going 10-3 before the season was shut down with 2 games left. Most of the Rebels' impact players returned for 2021, including their setter, libero, and top hitter.
We graduate some players, which is always going to happen for everybody, but it's nice to be able to have a good core returning. It's not like we graduate everybody and have to start over every year. So
we have 8 seniors this year, which we're all pretty good. We have a good freshman class too, so I'm excited to all get to play together again.
We're already only a few weeks in and our chemistry is already getting up there. We have a good core group of girls coming back, and I think we're all ready for a challenge this season.
So Champlin Park will put a good squad on the floor this fall, and the girls are excited to hopefully see their friends in the stands and big crowds in the gym cheering them on. Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
Champlin Park opens the season August 26th at Lakeville North. The Hopkins girls basketball program has produced a number of outstanding players over the years. 2 seniors from that program recently committed to Division I schools. Maya Najee and Amaya Battle are in the midst of a busy AAU basketball season. The 2 Hopkins High School seniors-to-be have now made their college choices official. Battle to Minnesota, Najee to Arizona. And the pressures of recruiting is a big load off their shoulders.
It's a big relief not having to worry about calling or texting coaches back, or even just in AAU playing and not having to worry about impressing coaches and all that.
Definitely, when I go to AAU tournaments, I see Coach Adia there on the sideline. It just makes me feel good. I see all these coaches here watching all these players, but it's I know my coach is there for me, and I know that's my school. I'm super excited to go play for her next year.
Najee was the Star Tribune Metro Player of the Year this past season, averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds per game. She's headed to Arizona, the same school her brother Zeke, now in the NBA, attended 2 seasons ago.
I'm on a different path than my brother is. We're not the same people. We don't have the same interests. The only advantage that Arizona had in my brother going there was the fact that I've been there before. I knew the community. I knew what the games were like. I knew like the environment and all that. So I felt comfortable going there. It felt like a second home to me.
Battle is an effective scorer, passer, and rebounder, and is staying home, joining an outstanding University of Minnesota recruiting class of 2022. It also includes Wayzata's Mara Braun, now a rehire of Chaska, and Mia Holloway of Eden Prairie. But there were a number of factors that weighed into Amaya's decision.
So when my brother transferred there, and just seeing him there being like happy and like comfortable, and then like bouncing things off of him, I got good responses. And then the fact that Nia, Mara, and Mallory also committed, who are top players in Minnesota, and I thought like if I went, we could all just do something to change the culture.
John Jacobson, CCX Sports. Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.